Hello boxing fans, Grandmaster Gambardella here, continuing our series on 15 things I learned from Manny Pacquiao. And one of the things I learned from Manny Pacquiao is how to avoid a dangerous situation by not getting into it. I was recently at a seminar with Master Horace Gracie, and he was asked by a lot of people at the seminar, how do you get out of an armbar? How do you get out of a rear naked choke? How's the best way to escape a Kimura? And his answers were rather profound, but perhaps not understood, and thus overlooked by most of the students at the seminar, as I'm sure most of the people who watched the Manny Pacquiao fight overlooked how he got out of dangerous situations. One of his replies was, how do you let Mike Tyson hit you in the jaw? They didn't seem to understand, and asked again, but how do you escape an armbar? And he once again replied, well, how do you get ready to let Mike Tyson or Manny Pacquiao hit you in the head? And he went on to explain, there are a lot of things you can train for. You can train for speed. You can train for endurance. You can train techniques. You can train for specific attacks and escapes. But you really can't do training that would allow you to let Manny Pacquiao hit you in the jaw as hard as he could. There is no realistic way for you to let Manny Pacquiao hit you in the jaw and for you to stand up or survive the fight. And that's the point. When you are in an armbar, when you are caught in a rear naked choke, when you are caught in a Kimura, there is no realistic way to escape. When these moves are applied correctly, you are tapped out. Your arm will break, you will go to sleep. If Manny Pacquiao hits you in the jaw, you will go to sleep. It is that simple. There is no practical escape from a properly applied finishing technique or a punch. I learned this the hard way about 30 years ago when I was doing a hard key seminar at a group at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. One of the parts of my demo was to allow someone from the audience to come up and hit me full power in the ribs, in the solar plexus, and in the throat. I picked a 250-pound Olympic wrestler and judo player. He came up and proceeded to pound away at me with great abandon. I felt no pain because there was no injury due to my hard ki flowing. Then I asked him to choke me with both of his hands around my throat. And again, no matter how hard he tried, he could not choke me. Then he asked, could I choke you with a deep judo rear naked choke applied with a gi? And I said, why sure, why not? And proceeded to let him get behind me and put a rear naked choke with my gi around my neck. Well, this did not go as planned. You see, I cannot be choked out with the hands due to the fact that my hard ki makes my Adam's apple float backwards and protects my neck. This has very little with protecting myself from a blood choke done with a gi. It cuts off the blood to the head by closing the carotid arteries and you go to sleep, which was I was about to do when I tapped out and asked him to stop and to start over. And this time when he started, I escaped the choke. And that was a great example that I learned on how to get out of a dangerous situation. I put myself in it. And it's a great example of Master Gracie's race and Manny Pacquiao's. The best way to avoid a dangerous situation is to not get into it. If you let someone apply a blood choke, if you let someone sink in a deep arm bar, if you let someone hit you in the jaw as hard as they can, you are out of luck and you are out of the fight. The thing you want to do is not get in the situation. By proper training, you can learn dozens of ways to escape the situation that would put you in the armbar or the choke or the Kimura or that you hit in the head in a boxing match. When I first started training with Master Carlos Machado, the first 6 months of a 2-hour daily practice session was literally nothing but escapes. We didn't learn any finishes. We didn't learn any moves. We didn't learn anything in an attack. We learned to escape. And when we finally began to learn to do some moves, some attacks and finishes, we found out they were much easier to do if you could escape any attack from your opponent. Master Machado is Master Gracie's cousin. They grew up together, and they both learned the lesson of not getting into a dangerous situation as the best way to avoid getting beat. And that's a great lesson for you to learn. Too many martial arts schools start teaching their students attacks and finishes from the first day, and boxing clubs teaching punching and hitting in the head the first day. And these students usually get very easily defeated by a good jiu-jitsu player or a good boxer who knows how to do escapes well or to do combinations and set his opponent up. It's the same thing your parents have told you since you were a little child. Don't go there. Don't hang out with the bad crowd. Don't go to that drinking party. They know all too well that the best way for you not to get in trouble is to not go to places where there is trouble. The same thing applies in the martial arts and boxing. The best way to avoid a dangerous situation is to not get into the dangerous situation. This is Grandmaster Gambardella. I'll see you next time with another thing I learned from the great Manny Pacquiao.